guys, and welcome to Faithwerks Designs. I'm Faith, and today I cannot wait to show you the latest pattern that I have made. It's hard to say, but it's called the Vegvisir, and I will put the spelling up there for you guys. But it is a really cool pattern. If you want to know the story behind the name, make sure that you hang out till the outro. I wanted to make a circle bag so that we could kind of do some cut and sews with it. Another company has reached out to me. That I have so many people that want cut and sews from me right now. It's ridiculous. So we're working on the list. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming out, so you better subscribe so you won't miss it. Alright, so we have a circle bag, but I didn't want to just make like a basic circle bag because there's so many people that have made circle bags. So I made it into a double section circle bag. So we're going to have two different sections. They do not connect in the center, so they'll be completely separated. And because I can't stop at 1 or 2 or 3, we had to come up with some SVG files just to kind of make the pattern a little more special. So there is a hobbit hole, a donut, and a Pokemon ball, just to make the bag and the pattern a little bit more special. And if my testers have anything to say about it, there will be more designs because they've already been putting their orders in. So we'll have to see. When you open up the one side of the bag, you're going to see that there is a zipper pocket with a cute circle overlay. And then on the other side, there's going to be just a regular slip pocket. On both sides of your bag, there is a zipper pocket and there is a slip pocket. And if you'll notice it doesn't go all the way through, obviously because there's a zipper pocket there, but it doesn't go all the way through. So these compartments are completely separated. Now, I will say this is kind of more for an advanced sewer. I say that, and then you guys surprise me all the time with the stuff that you guys can make. So I would just kind of fast forward through the video and just kind of see if it's something that you think you could do before you judge whether or not it's something you can do. I hope you guys like this. Let's get started. Alright, so let's go over pieces really quickly. I went ahead and just kind of decked mine out so it looked more fun. So we've got our front and our back. It doesn't matter which one is because they're the same. So you got your front and your back pieces. You're going to have two pieces for your handle. This is your zipper gusset side panels. You've got your center gusset. You've got your bottom gusset. You've got your zipper gusset side panel lining. You've got your zipper gusset lining. You're going to have your slip pocket panels. You're going to have your zipper pocket panels. You're going to have your main lining panels. You're going to have two zippers for your zipper gusset. You're going to need to have your slip pocket accent pieces. And lastly, you're going to need your zipper facing pieces. If you decide to do two zipper pockets and two slip pockets, you'll need two of both of these, but you can always make one. You're going to have 4 zippers for your zipper gusset. When I do my outside gussets, I really like to have 2 zippers so that they meet in the center, and then when you open them up, they kind of open all together. You don't have to do that. It just makes it really nice that when you open it up, you can open it up really wide. If you want to just use one zipper, you're going to have to really pay attention to which direction it's going. If it's closing to the left and opening to the right, you're going to have to make sure that both sides are doing the same exact thing. That's why it's great to use 2 zippers, and then you don't have to worry about that. You're going to need 2 zippers for your inside zipper pockets. You're going to need 2 rectangle rings. You're going to need some rivets for the top of our bag, zippers for your inside zipper pockets. So we're going to start on the inside of our bag doing some of the interior lining pieces. So you're going to grab your 2 slip pocket panels. If you want to have 2 slip pockets in your bag, you can just do one. It's just up to you what you want to do. So you're going to take them and you're going to turn them right sides together, and then we're going to go to the sewing machine and we're going to sew down each side. We're not sewing across the top, just the sides. Do that to both panels. Alright, with a 3-stitch length, we're going to sew at 1/4 of an inch down each side. Alright, so we sewed down both sides. The next thing that I did was I clipped these corners just so that when we turn it inside out, it would lay nice and flat. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab our slip pocket accent pieces, and what I did was I made a line all the way down the center, and then I put 1/4 of an inch double-sided tape on each side. what we're going to do is the open side right here, we're going to stick that in the center. So let's take off the paper from the bottom. Alright, so you want to get it like right next to that line, not right on top of it, because we want this to fold down. So now we're going to take the top paper off, and we're just going to fold that down. We're going to do this to both of our slip pockets, and then take it to the sewing machine. At 1/8 of an inch, we're just going to sew straight across the top to both of our slip pockets. I've got a 4-stitch length. I'm just top stitching right across there at 1/8 of an inch from the edge. That's where I'm sewing them together. Alright, so we've got both of our slip pockets done. The next thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to trim your slip pocket accent pieces, and what I did was I just cut them straight off. So let's do that. And then I took my lighter and I just kind of touched the sides and kind of squished them together. They kind of melt into each other. You have to be really careful though, because some vinyls will just get black and look really funky. Alright, now that that's done, we're going to grab our main lining pieces, and what I'm going to do is we need to find the side centers and the top and bottom centers. These are going to be really important as we go through the process, so we can kind of make sure everything is where it's at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in half, and I'm going to clip it, because that's going to kind of keep everything where I want it. I'm going to find the side center over here, turn it around, and find the side center over there. So I have both of my side centers. I'm going to remove my clip, and then I'm going to put those side centers together and clip them, and that way I can find my other centers. And you're just going to make a notch. You're going to do this on all 4 of your main panels. So you're going to have side centers and a top and a bottom center. You're going to use this a lot. Now we're going to take our slip pockets and we're going to try and center them as best you can, just like that. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the sewing machine and we're going to start on the right side. Make sure that we're back stitching when we start. Come all the way down, over, and back up again. Making sure that you back stitch when you start and when you stop. So let's go do that to both of our slip pocket panels. So I've got a 4-stitch length, and I'm just going 1/8 of an inch all the way around. We got our slip pockets all finished and ready to go. Again, making sure that you have your side notches and your top and bottom notches. They're going to be important. Alright, now we're going to work on our zipper pockets. What you're going to do is you're going to take your zipper for your zipper pockets and you're going to lay them right side up. Just like that. And we're going to do that to both of them. Then we're going to take them to the sewing machine and we are going to sew them together with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. So let's go do that. Alright, so we're with a 3-stitch length and 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. We're going to sew them together. Now that that's sewn together, we're going to push that seam allowance down to the wrong side of our fabric, and we're going to base stitch that down. So I'm going to turn my stitch length to a 4, and we're just sewing that zipper tape down, or the seam allowance down. Alright, now that your seam allowance is sewn down, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take this end right here and we're going to place it right side to the wrong side of our zipper, and then we're going to sew them together. But you're going to need to change your stitch length back to a 3 really quickly. Alright, now that both sides are sewn onto your zipper, the next thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to open your zipper. I kept them together the whole time because I wanted to make sure they were even Stevens. Alright, so now just like you did On this side where you pull the seam allowance down and then top stitch it, we're going to do the same exact thing on this side. So you're going to need to top stitch that down. Alright, now we need to join our zipper back together. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your right side of your fabric together, and then we're going to grab our zipper and we're going to put it on just like that. Alright, there we go. Okay, once you get it on, pull it all the way. We want both ends of this to be closed. So now we're going to have to do that again. Just put your zipper back on. It'll make sense in a minute, I promise. Alright, now that that's on, the next thing that we need to do is we need to grab some double-sided tape. We're going to put it right on top of the outside edge of our zipper on both the top and the bottom. You're going to do that to both of your zipper pockets. After we get this double-sided tape on, the next thing we need to grab is one of our main panels and our zipper facing. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to measure down from our top notch. We're going to measure down 1 1/4. Then I'm going to take my facing and I'm just going to crease it just slightly so that I know right where that center is. And then we're going to lay it down so that the center of the crease is right where the center of our top notch is. And then I'm going to hold this side down, pull back the paper and then press that down, pull this paper off and press that down. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to sew all the way around the outside of our facing. So let's go do that. Alright, so I have got a 4-stitch length and I'm just going to go all the way around the outside edge at 1/8 of an inch. So I've got my zipper facing sewn on. We went all the way around and then I cut my zipper facing out. What I did was I went ahead and just cut this rectangle. I didn't go ahead and do all of that like you typically would, and it's fine. It's not like you're going to see it anyway. So we're going to take one of the zippers that we've prepped, and you want your zipper to close to the left, open to the right, right? Alright, now we're going to take the paper off the bottom, and you're going to want to center your zipper. So you should have a little bit of excess zipper on each side. So on this side, you've got a little extra zipper, and on this side, you're going to have a little bit of extra zipper. So once that's where you want it, and I feel like it's not quite centered, then take the top paper off and place it like that. So your zipper closing to the left, opening to the right. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull that zipper pocket up to the top. Now what you're going to do is you're going to start about 1/8 of an inch from this edge right here. You're going to start about 1/8 of an inch and 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Come all the way down and stop about 1/8 of an inch from this edge right there. And that's what we're going to do next. Alright, so we've got a 4-stitch length and I'm starting right before that edge. You want to make sure that what you're catching is your seam allowance, and I'll show you in just a second. So you've sewn right like that, but you see how you've sewn across that seam allowance so you caught everything? That's what you need to be doing. Alright, let's pull the threads through the back and burn the ends, and then we will go across the sides and the top. I have taken, so we sewed this side, right? We're going to take this side and fold it up and then press that seam allowance down. And what we're going to do is we're going to start right where we started our stitches before. We're going to go up, over, and then back down again. So I ran out of bobbin. Fun times. Okay, but you're going to go ahead and just sew around, and it's going to look like this. So you have come over here, come up, over, and then back down again. You'd start here, go up, come back down. Alright, next thing we got to do is we got to close up our zipper pockets. So we're going to pull this back, and with a 3-stitch length, 1/4 inch seam allowance, if you can. I cannot get these things straight to save my life, but that's okay. You're just going to sew on both sides so that your zipper pocket gets closed up. Alright, so we've got both of our zipper gussets done. Now, here's the thing. When I look into my purses, and especially this one, what do you want to see? Do you want to see a zipper pocket, or do you want to see the slip pocket? Can you even see that? When I look into my purse, I want to be able to see my zipper pockets. And so, in order to do that, we're going to need to take our slip pockets and add them to our front panels so that we can make sure that our zipper pockets are on the inside of the bag and our slip pockets are on the edges. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab our front and back panel, and I'm going to grab both of our slip pocket panels. Now my front and back panel do not have the side and top edges, so we're going to have to do that real quick. You're going to make sure you fold it in half, and then come up here to the top, and you're going to make a notch. And then come down here to the bottom and make a notch. So you'll have your top and bottom notches. Then we're going to put our top and bottom notch together, and then find our side notches. I want to go ahead and do that now so we don't have to do it later. Okay, so I'm going to take my front and one of my slip pockets, and we're going to put them wrong sides together. And you're going to match up those notches. And what I like to do is sew with the top up facing me. So clip all the way around, take this to the sewing machine, do your front and back panel the exact same way, and then we're just going to base stitch our front and our slip pocket together. So let's go do that. Alright, now what we're going to do is with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and a 4-stitch length, we're just base stitching these together. Alright, these are all done so that when you turn them over, you've got your slip pockets facing the correct direction. Alright, now that that's done, we're going to grab our handles. What I did was I made a mark down the center, and then what we're going to do is we're going to grab some double-sided tape and we're going to put it right down the center. Okay, and then we're going to take the paper off and make each side meet in that center. We're going to do this to both of our handle pieces. Alright, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab another piece of double-sided tape, and we're going to run it right along the center of one of our handle pieces. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take this other handle piece and put it wrong side to wrong side right on top of each other. Alright, the next thing you're going to need to do is grab a ruler with some fractions. I normally try and just make this basic and easy, but you know, you can only do basic and easy so many times. Alright, so we're going to measure over 4 5/8 and make a mark. And then we're going to measure on the other side 4 5/8. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this to the sewing machine and we're going to start stitching here, come down, over, back up, and over. And that way we can create our little handle so that this will stay together. So let's go do that. I've got my 4-stitch length, and I'm just going to start in the middle and go all the way around in a rectangle. Alright, we've got that done. That's going to be the center of our handle. So I'm going to turn this over, and that's going to be kind of like my wrong side. And I'm going to measure up 2 inches. and I'm going to make a mark on both ends of your handle. Then I'm going to grab some double-sided tape. Y'all know I love me some double-sided tape. We're going to make a piece that's shorter than our 2 inches because we don't want to get this into our seams here. We're going to grab our center gusset, and what we're going to do is we're going to, tell you what, let's take this, fold it in half, and make a notch. So you'll have a notch like that on one end, and you'll have a notch on the other end. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab our rectangle rings. We're going to put our rectangle rings on. So you know how they have that little seam? That's going to be on the wrong side of my handle. So you're going to want to put both rectangle rings on just like that. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the paper from one side, and I'm going to put the handle right side to the right side of my handle. I'm going to turn this around so it's a little bit easier on me. I'm going to remove the paper from the other side, and then I'm going to center it. Now what we need to do is we need to get our ruler again, and we're going to do 2 inches on this side. I did 2 inches on the other side so you guys could see where to put the double-sided tape. I didn't want you to have to sew over top of that and get your machine all gunky. I have been trying, you guys. My machine will just keep rolling, but I know domestics don't like double-sided tape. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to go to the sewing machine, and we're going to start on both sides, go up, over, and then back down again so that on both sides so that our handle is sewn to our center panel. So let's go do that. Alright, so I'm just going to start at the bottom. Alright, now the next thing that we need to do is get our marking tool, and then 1/4 of an inch from where our seams are, where we made that little turn, 1/4 of an inch, you're going to put one there, and then 1/4 of an inch on the opposite side, you're going to put another rivet. So 1/4 of an inch from each of those seams, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to measure 1 inch from the edge of our seams right here. We're going to measure in 1 inch right there. We're going to get 3 rivets right there so that we can make sure that this is nice and in place. Alright, let's do the same thing on the other side. Then I'm going to grab my rivet press, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut these holes out. I'm just going to get that rectangle ring out of my way. I really don't care where it is right now. We can straighten it up later. Also make sure that your handle is not wiggling all over the place. Make sure that it's nice and in the center. Alright, now we're going to grab our rivets. What we're going to do is grab this first hole right there. We're going to put the one with our stem on it through the back, like that, and then put a cap on it. Then I'm going to get my rectangle ring and pull it down, and then I'm going to put my next rivet in. Like that. So your rectangle ring will be right in the middle, and then put a cap on. And now our last hole on this side. Just like that. Now let's do it to the other side. Alright, now take this to your rivet press and press them in place. Alright, our center gusset is all prepped and ready to go. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab our zippers and our zipper lining, or our zipper gusset lining. And we're going to also grab our gazillion Pikachus and a rivet. Our Pikachu zipper. So before we do anything, let's go ahead and put our zippers on our zippers. Or put our zipper pulls on our zippers. Alright, once you have your zippers on and they're facing each other so they open up down the center, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get some clips, our ruler, and a marking tool. And what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our zippers and one of our zipper linings, and we're going to put them wrong side of our zipper to the right side of our lining. And I'm going to put a clip on each side. And I'm going to do that on both ends of my zipper. I'm going to take my other zipper, same thing, wrong side of my zipper to the right side of my fabric, my lining fabric. Then for these guys, you're going to want to put right sides together. So right side to right side. If you're using a directional print, you can do a little bit better than me. But I'm not worried about it right now. I don't know that it would even make a difference. So I'm just putting clips on both sides. Alright, now once those are clipped together, next thing that you're going to do is you're going to take your ruler and marking tool, and we're going to mark 1/2 inch from the edges. That's going to be our seam allowance for this center. Or for our lining, I should say. So we're going to mark all of these at 1/2 inch. And then the same thing with our zippers. Mark at 1/2 inch. Alright, now we're going to go to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch these together at that 1/2 inch seam allowance. Alright, so I'll start with my zippers. You want to start sewing and then back stitch because we do not want this coming undone. I've got a 3 stitch length. And we're going to sew both of our zippers and then our linings together. Alright, we're all sewn together. The next thing that I did was I took my lining, put the ends together, and found the center, and I made a notch in both pieces. Then I took my zipper with the lining and I put my seams together, found the center, and made a notch. Then I came to the end of my zipper, found the center, and made a notch on both sides. You're going to want to do this to all these pieces, both zippers, and if you want to make sure that your zipper is not going to unravel, go ahead and burn those little notches that you made and they won't unravel. Then you're going to grab your center gusset, and again, same thing, fold it in half, find the center on both of your center, on both sides of your center gusset. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is going to start getting a little complicated, but I have faith in you that you can do this. We can do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our center notches and we're going to take our zipper right side to the right side of our zipper, our center zipper gusset. So I'm going to match up my center notches, and then I'm going to clip all the way down. And the only thing that we're going to be clipping is the zipper to the center gusset. That's it. That's all we're clipping together right now. And it's going to want to start like bending in towards you, and that's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to take this to the sewing machine and we're going to base stitch our zipper in. So you're going to start where this seam is, start sewing here, base stitch all the way around until you get to this seam and stop. Don't keep going. We want to stop right before that seam. So let's go do that. Pull this seam, the lining is wanting to be a part of the party, and it cannot be part of the party. So I'm starting right after where my 1/2 inch seam is, and I have got a 4 stitch length so that I'm just base stitching this in. So our zipper is all basted in place. The next thing that we're going to have to do is turn our zipper that we sewed together with our lining wrong side out. So the wrong side of your zipper will be facing you. We're going to take one of our linings that we paired together, that we sewed together. What we're going to do is we're going to put right side to the wrong side of our zipper. We're going to match up that center notch right there. Then I'm going to come down and I'm going to match up my side seams. So right there, we're going to match those up. I'm going to come to this side seam and match those up. And then I'm going to come down to the very bottom, making sure that right sides are together. And I'm going to match up that bottom seam. Now what you're going to do is clip all the way around. So here's where it's going to get a little complicated because we're going to have to start, stop, start, stop. Where we sewed our zipper on. So let's start right here with the seam. So you're going to start at this seam, like right before it, at 1/4 of an inch. We're going to sew the lining on. So we're going to go all the way down and stop sewing right there at that seam, right? Then what we're going to do is we're going to have to move this center gusset, and we'll start sewing. This seam's going to go out of the way. The center gusset seam is going to have to be moved out of the way, and you're going to start sewing right before that seam. So down, 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 down until you get to this other seam. Again, you're going to have to move that center gusset out of the way and stop sewing right before you get to that center seam. So let's go do that. All right, so we're going to start with the zipper gusset since it's the easiest. Thank goodness. All right, so 1/4 of an inch, we're just going to sew, making sure that you're back stitching, trying really hard not to catch any of that seam allowance back there that's wanting to jump in the way. All right, I'm bringing you guys over so hopefully you can see what I'm doing. It was kind of difficult to see what I was doing back there. All right, so I'm pulling my center gusset out of the way, my seams up here out of the way, and then I'm going to start sewing, hopefully. And I'm just as close as I can get to that seam. You don't have to be right on it and start at it. Just as close as you can get without catching that seam allowance. Alright, now what we need to do is we need to top stitch down our center gusset. So what we're trying to do is get this lining out of our way, and if we top stitch it down, it'll be out of our way. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull that lining away from your zipper just like you would with regular top stitching. We're going to start right here where you see that 1/2 inch line. We're going to start right there, and I'm going to make sure that all of my lining is out of my way. I'm also going to hold on to my thread when I start sewing and change my stitch length to a 4. I'm going to put my hand underneath in just a second so that I can make sure that that lining is going over where it's supposed to go. And I honestly don't know if you guys can see anything. So let's try this way. Now, with my testers, I found that the lining laid down a lot better if I went ahead and top stitched the lining part as well. My lining seam is naturally wanting to go that way, so I'm just going to sew my lining down to one side or the other. And again, you're going to want to get that seam allowance out of the way and just get as close as you can, or as close as your machine will let you. And you don't have to do this step. This is just something I did, and it made things look so much nicer and made the lining lay down really nicely while I was trying to do this. So just make sure that your lining seam is going that way. Alright, so we're going to call this our left side just so that we can kind of keep up with who's doing what, right? So our left side is ready to move to the next step, but we're going to go ahead and do the right side. We're going to do exactly the same thing that we did on the left side on our right side. So we're going to grab our zipper, and with right side to right side, we're going to match up those center notches. Then we're going to match up our side notch, our side piece. And we're just going to base stitch these two together. Alright, so we're just base stitching our zipper on right now. So let's go do that. With a 4 stitch length, we're just going to base stitch that zipper on, starting right after that seam allowance, because we're not going to catch that seam allowance in this. It cannot come to the party. Another thing to keep in mind is because there's going to be a lot of people coming to the party, you're going to have to watch out for a lot of your lining pieces, because they're going to kind of want to get in the mix and they're not allowed. So just watch out for them. Now we're going to take our other lining piece that we made, and we're going to do right side to the wrong side. So the center of our zipper, we're going to get that clipped together, and this is the one where we clip it all the way around. So we're going to match up our side seams. Our other side seam. And then our bottom seam, making sure that those are together, right side to right side. And go ahead and clip all the way around. Again, what we're going to do is we're going to start sewing at this seam right here. So we're going to start right here, go around until we come to this seam right here and stop. Then we're going to move the center gusset and then your lining seam allowance out of the way, and we're going to sew until we come back to here and stop. So let's go do that. Alright, we've got a 3 stitch length now because we're sewing, and I'm starting right after that seam, making sure you back stitch. She's wanting to go around, y'all. You're just going to have to straighten her out. Watch out for all your other linings. Get them out of the way. Alright, now we're going to do our lining. Where are we going to start? Let's see. So your center zipper gusset needs to be out of the way. Your seam allowance needs to be out of the way. Nobody's going to want to cooperate, so you're just going to have to tell them who's who. Manhandle them, if you will. I swear Mama Cat looks at me and sometimes goes, "Don't you manhandle me." She's so sassy. So now we're to the point where we need to top stitch the other side. So we're going to pull the lining towards the center, so we have both of our linings there, and we're going to top stitch, making sure that all of this mess is out of the way. Take your time with the top stitching so it looks nice. We're going to start, you see our seam that we made right here? That's a perfect way for us to figure out where to start and stop on each side. It's because we'll be able to see our stitches that we made in our zipper. So, oh, and change your stitch length to a 4. Hang on to your thread when you get started, and back stitch at least 1 stitch. Now I'm going to take my hand underneath. I'm going to pull that lining away. Alright, now we're going to do just like we did on the other side, and we're going to top stitch those linings together and top stitch that seam allowance down. Now it's time for us to add our zipper pocket linings. But I just wanted to show you guys kind of what we're looking like, what your outside should be looking like. You've got these two linings. They should be separate in the center. What we're going to do is turn this lining side out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this lining right here. And you see how we have our center point? We're going to put that center point, because that's our top of our zipper gusset. We're going to find the center point on our zipper panel, and we're going to put those two together. Then we're going to find the center points on each side of our zipper panel, and then the bottom. We're going to match those up to that lining. So we're going to have the top center notch. So turn that in, it'll be a little bit easier to work with. We're going to get our bottom notch. So the bottom of our zipper gusset is to the bottom of our panel. And then we're going to get our side notch and put it to our side seam and clip those together. Now this panel, we're going to be able to sew all the way around and make lives a whole lot easier. Alright, so I'm finding the side notch to the side seam right there, and then clip all the way around. You're going to have to push that zipper out of the way and just clip all the way around. Alright, so for this one, again, we're just sewing all the way around, and I did not clip that all together. I was like, I'm done, right? Nope. Okay, let's take this to the sewing machine, and with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, go ahead and sew all of that together. Alright, so I'm kind of starting towards the bottom. You guys are going to have to take this zipper pocket, and you're going to kind of have to get it out of the way. Okay, so let's hang on to our threads, back stitch, and start going all the way around. Alright, we got that zipper pocket in. Again, make sure that your top notch is going to the top notch on your zipper, just to make sure we're all straight. Okay, now, so we did it on this side. Now we need to do it again on this side. So we're going to be rolling that over, pushing that zipper down, and making our lining go in like that. Okay, now we're going to match up the top notches, the top and the bottom notch, the side notches, and then go ahead and clip all the way around. Alright, let's go to the sewing machine and sew those together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Make sure that this other lining is out of your way. You don't want to accidentally sew that. Alright, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our zipper gusset side panels and our zipper gusset side panel linings. What you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take your linings and place them right sides together, and we're going to clip them together just like we did before, right side to right side. And then you're going to mark 1/2 inch on each edge, and we're going to sew these together. Alright, so editing this video is already 40 minutes long, so I went ahead and I took these strips, sewed down my seam allowance, and then I folded them in half, and I found the centers, and I went ahead and cut the centers in both sides, so they both have those center marks. Now what we need to do is we need to grab our main panel, our main bag. We're going to take these side pieces, and we're going to place them right side to right side. So I'm starting right at the end of that zipper, and we're going to clip these together. Alright, now that that's clipped in place, let's go ahead and do the other side as well. We might as well do both of them while we're at the sewing machine. So you're going to take your right side to the right side of your zipper and then clip them together. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this to the sewing machine. We're going to start at that 1/2 inch mark. So right where our seam starts for our zipper, we're going to do just like we've been doing, starting at 1/2 inch and then sewing down, down, down until we get to the other 1/2 inch down here. We're base stitching this on, so we're going to have a 4 stitch length, and we're just base stitching that side piece to our zipper. And you're going to start right before that seam, so you have your 1/2 inch seam allowance. You're going to do that on both sides. Alright, that's done. The next thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to grab one of our linings, and we're going to do just one side for now. Turn that right side out, and then we're going to start matching up our notches. So we're going to have our top notch in our lining to the top notch in our zipper, wherever it went. And then we're going to come over here to the side notch of our zipper, clip them together, and then bottom notch to bottom notch, and then side notch to side notch. Alright, now this one, again, we're going to start and stop. So you're going to need to go all the way across the top, stop, move your seam allowances out of the way, and then sew the rest of the way around. Once we get it all clipped up. Alright, let's go to the sewing machine. Alright, so we're going to start at our 1/2 inch seam allowance right there, and we're going to go around the top first. And I can get pretty close on the top. It's that bottom that's a little harder to do. Okay, 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're going to go all the way across the top. Alright, now that we're going around the bottom, we're going to lift these seams up so that we can start stitching around the bottom. Make sure that all of this mess is out of your way, so you don't want to accidentally sew those. That would stink. Alright, my Decoville light's trying to run away. Alright, we're going to take this top panel and lift it up. And then we're going to do, just like we did the center panel, we're going to take the lining, just like you would on any other zipper gusset. We're going to pull it away from the zipper, and we're going to top stitch down the zipper. If you wanted to, you could very well clip the lining to the outside, but don't base stitch it. Top stitch, we're going to start right at that 1/2 inch seam allowance. I am also going to turn my stitch length to a 4. Alright, so this is what we should be looking at right now. My bobbin ran out, of course. Of course. So we're going to grab our other lining, turn it right side out. Same thing, guys. We're going to put your top notch with your center notch in your lining, bottom notch with your bottom notch, and then your side notches together. And then clip all the way around, and then we'll take it to the sewing machine and we'll do just like we did on the other side. You'll sew around the top where your zipper is, and then you'll sew around your bottom separately and stop at your seam allowances. Alright, we're going to start where our zipper is and that first seam allowance, 1/4 inch with the 3 stitch length. Alright, now let's move you over here. We're going to need to take this panel and we're going to need to pull it up, and then we're going to take this lining just like we did on the other side and pull it to the edge. Let's clip it this time just to kind of keep it to the edge so I don't have to worry about it. I was having to constantly pull it as I was sewing. It'd be really nice to just clip it in place, and we are just sewing down that side panel. We're not going all the way around. So just clip that lining out of the way. And then what we're going to do is we're going to top stitch down our zipper again, starting at that 1/2 inch mark. Remember, we're top stitching, so you're going to need a 4 stitch length. Alright, so I've got my lining as far back as I can push it. And then I'm just going to go at a 1/2 inch and start sewing, making sure that I'm sewing where those marks are, or where our seam allowances were, so they don't show up on the outside. Alright, good. I was hoping that I would miss one so I could show you guys what I meant. Do you see my seam allowance right there, how it's showing through on my zipper? You're going to have to make sure that all of that is caught up in there, so you might have to go like a smidgen over a 1/2 inch to make sure that that gets covered up. And it just depends on how far you went down and what you did for your seam allowance earlier. When I was sewing across, I could tell I wasn't going to go across that zipper in the right spot. So just go back and go a little further in, and that way that will be covered. So when you pull it back, you won't see it. Now, if you wanted to, and I'm going to tell you that this is going to make it a whole lot harder. If you want to, you could top stitch right now across this panel right here. I've gone back and forth about adding this to the pattern, and I'm not sure because the other side, this side is easy. It's the other side that you're just kind of like, ugh, that would be hard. So I'm going to go ahead and do it to mine, and that way you guys can at least see what I'm doing. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure everything got caught before I moved on. So your lining and everything should be that way, out of the way, so that you're not accidentally going to catch it. And I've got all my stuff out of the way. I have switched to a 4 stitch length. And then I am just going to go across and throw my scissors 1/8 of an inch. Alright, so we got one side of our bottom gusset on. The next thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take the end of the bottom gusset to the other side. So you're going to kind of have to push that out of the way. And again, the first thing that I'm going to do when I get down here is I'm going to grab that lining and this side and clip it on the side so that I can kind of make everything fit into the middle, because it does kind of want to bow out. Alright, we're going to grab all the way across and clip that lining, our zipper, our handle, make all of this be a part of this party. So again, we've got all of our linings clipped up there, and we're going to push it out of the way and then sew at a 1/2 inch across there. Just like we did with the other side, we're going to make sure that we're sewing across our seam allowances that we did before it a little, like a smidgen over 1/2 inch. So I'm going to turn this right side out. And I'm going to check that all of my seams are kind of tucked away. I need to clean this up a little bit. There's a few that I see that I could burn and make it look a little bit nicer. And then I'll show you guys how we can top stitch across this second side. Alright, so here comes the difficult part. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to push all this lining over to one side. And what we're going to do is we're going to place, make sure that your seams are going that way. And then we're going to top stitch. We're going to have to move that bottom gusset out of the way. But you're going to make sure that your seams are facing the right, your lining is out of the way. Y'all are not even going to be able to see what I'm doing. Fantastic. I love when that happens. Just take your time, make sure that bottom gusset and the lining is out of the way. And with you guys right there, I can't see much of what I'm doing. So that side seam is going to look real great. It's okay. Okay, let's go back to the desk. Now that we've got that done, it should look like this and all kinds of crazy. What we're going to need to do is we're going to need to match up our bottom gusset and our lining. We're going to base stitch all the way around now. so that we can add our front and back handle. Okay, the top is going to kind of stay where I want it to stay. I'm going to go ahead, take this to the sewing machine, and we're going to base stitch around each side of our bag. Alright, so the main part of our bag is all done. The next thing that we need to do is we need to put our side seams together, find the center of our top, and then the center of our bottom. You need to do that on both the top and bottom and on both sides. The next thing that we're going to do, and this may or may not break your heart, we'll have to see. We're going to have to take one end, fold the bag, lining side out, like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take your front or your back, it doesn't matter. We're going to take that and put it right side to the right side of our bag. We're going to match up our top notch, our bottom notch, and our side notches on our bag that we've already got. So I'm going to make sure this is the top of my Pokeball, so I need to make sure it's going towards the top. You're going to have to push that handle out of the way. So we're just going to match up our notches first. So the side of our bag, the side notch, the bottom of our bag, the bottom notch, and then the other side, side notch. And then go ahead and clip it all together. Alright, next thing that we're going to do is with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, we're going to sew these two together. Now, if you want the outside of your bag to look really, really nice, you need to try and keep the same seam allowance so that your bag will be nice and round. I know roundy bits, round bags are hard, but if you keep your seam allowance the same all the way around, and I'm trying really hard, it'll look really nice when you get finished. Alright, now we need to bind the edges, and I have some waterproof canvas, so that's what I'm going to be using. A fold over elastic would be great for this, or I know a lot of people have been using just regular binding, like quilt binding. It's up to you, whatever you can work with that works the best for you, use that. So I'm just going to take my binding and clip it all the way around. Alright, I've changed my thread out to black because I'd really like at least the binding to look nice. I've been using white thread throughout because you guys have been talking about YouTubers using thread and colors that you guys can't see what's going on. So I was trying, I'm listening to you guys. But for the binding, I'm going to use black. Y'all have no idea how much it killed me to not be using red. But I think the white looks good with it anyway, so. Alright, just sew all the way around. Alright, our binding is all done. You do want to go ahead and just check around and make sure that you caught your binding all the way. Make sure that it's just right. Now we're going to open up our zippers and turn this inside out, or right side out. So that's what our one side looks like. Now we're going to have to do it again. So don't straighten this side up too much. So I'm going to close the zippers, and then I'm going to take this side, just like we did on the other side, and push all of this in. Okay, we're going to grab our front panel, and we're going to make sure that we put our top notch with our top notch in where our zipper is, and our bottom notch on the bottom notch. Let's go ahead and start putting our notches together, and then we're going to clip all the way around. Alright, again, we're going to make sure to try and keep our same seam allowance all the way around. Alright, so you know it's binding time. Let's go and put this all the way around. Then I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew my binding on. And then we can turn it inside out, or right side out. And you guys are finished. Alright, again, before we turn this right side out, just kind of go around and make sure that you've got your binding all the way, because this is a lot of turning and turning and turning, and you don't want to have to keep turning. Alright, when you open this up, be very careful of your vinyl that's shoved on the inside, because you don't want to accidentally scratch it up. You also could go around like I forgot to do. If you're using cotton and it's just kind of fraying like crazy, go around and make sure you got all of your loose threads and stuff out. Alright, now we're going to take this. We're going to take this and turn it right side out. I am going to grab some Peltex strips that I always keep in my desk. I'm going to grab some of these big clips. I'm going to go around strategically and just kind of, let's see, let's start on the corner. So I'm going to put my Peltex on top and then grab a clip. And I'm going to let this sit like this for a while so that the shape will do what I want it to do. I want that roundness and I want that outer panel away from the bottom panel. And I'm just going to leave that for like 20 minutes and then do all the way around so that it'll get that round shape that I want. Alright, we're done. Alright guys, so what did you think? I hope you guys like this bag. I know it was a little complicated, just a little bit. It's not really like anything that I've ever done before. It took a lot of brain power to try and figure out how to make the inner separate, because I knew that was the one thing that I wanted, was to make sure that these two zipper compartments were their own zipper compartments and they weren't meeting in the center. I've seen a lot of bags where they have two different zippers, but then it's just one big thing on the inside, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to be different. So it took a lot of brain power to figure that out. but anyway, one suggestion that I would suggest is your very bottom gusset. I would highly recommend taking your bottom gusset pattern and then some foam and base stitching those two together, and then put the bag together just like you regularly would. It just gives the bottom of the bag a little more stability than, say, without it. This is one that I did. It was one of my very first ones, and as you can see, the bottom kind of squishies, whereas if you use the foam, it doesn't squishy as much. So I did, on a couple of my testers, I used foam on the very front, I used foam on the bottom, and I used foam on the back. I didn't do it for the center gusset or the side gussets just because there was a lot going on, and I think adding the thickness of foam there would have really hindered what was going on. So I didn't want to add it there. And I'm glad that it didn't, because the center is still, the structural integrity of the center is pretty good, that I don't have to worry about not having added foam. I also wanted to make this so that you guys could sew it on your domestics. I know a lot of my patterns, and I'm really sorry, some of my patterns are a little bit more difficult to sew, say, on a domestic. So I've been listening to you guys, I've been listening to your feedback, and I'm like, I gotta make them a little bit more domestic friendly. So this bag is definitely domestic friendly. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. Vegvisir, where did that come from? I have been doing a lot of research on my husband's family and where they've come from, and like back in the day, they had a little bit of Viking in them, and I think this year, well, the last 3 years, I've been feeling kind of a little bit lost, trying to keep my business alive. It has been rough. Being a very, very small business, it's been rough navigating these waters because the economy is just stunk, and if you're sewing to sell, it's really hard to make any money right now because people can't afford groceries, much less things that they want. And so as I've been researching that, and then kind of the last couple of months, my pattern business has really been doing really, really well, and I just feel like I've kind of found my footing a little bit. I say that and something else will happen, but I feel like I found my footing, and Vegvisir is a Viking way of navigation. And I was looking up like circle and words for circle in different languages, and kind of the old Viking was Vegvisir, and I thought it was kind of cool because I am terrible with making names for bags. Y'all, when it comes to naming my patterns, I have to all of my testers, I'm like, what do you think? What do you think this should be called? I'm terrible with names. But when I saw that and I saw the meaning of it, I was like, that's cool. That's what I want it to be. So I'm sorry if you can't pronounce the name, but I really liked it. So anyway, I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, you can give it a thumbs up, or if you want to subscribe so that you don't miss any of the other patterns that are coming out. Like I said, people are knocking down my door for cut and sews, and I've been just like, give me a minute, I got this. I've got so many ideas of things that I want to do. It's just a matter of like getting enough testers to be able to test for me, being able to have enough time to make sure that they're good patterns before they go out. There's just a lot. There's a lot involved. I need to do a video on pattern designing and how I do it. It's just a matter of time. There's just no time, which is a good thing. It's a good thing to be busy and not sitting around wishing I had business. So anyway, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below. I do check those daily. Thanks for joining us on Faithwerks Designs. Bye, guys.